know that there are some people in this world that did not tune in to the Alliance Vlog podcast. Shame on you!
Shame on you. My name is Ella Indy, and I'm one half of the NWA Women's World Tag Team Champion.
And I'm Kinsey Page, the other half of the NWA World Women's Tag Team Champion.
And you better go listen to the Alliance Vlog, what is it called again?
Podcast, period.
Or you're ugly. Pretty and power approved.
A statement from All Elite Wrestling, Tony Khan. AEW has terminated the wrestler and employment agreements between Phillip Brooks, better known as CM Punk, and AEW with cause, effective immediately. The termination was confirmed today by Tony Khan, CEO, General Manager, and Head of Creative of AEW. The termination follows a week-long internal investigation of an incident occurring backstage at AEW All In London on Sunday, August the 27th. Following the investigation, the AEW Discipline Committee met and later convened with outside legal counsel before making a unanimous recommendation to Khan that CM Punk be terminated with cause. Khan offered the following statement: Phil played an important role within AEW, and I thank him for his contributions. The termination of his AEW contracts with cause is ultimately my decision and mine alone. Of course, I wish I didn't have to share this news, which may come as a disappointment to many of our fans. Nevertheless, I am making the decision in the best interest of the many amazing people who make AEW possible every week. Our talent, staff, venue operators, and many others whose efforts are unsung but essential to bringing our fans our great shows on television and at arenas and stadiums throughout the world. So folks, what I'm telling you is that CM Punk is no longer an employee of AEW. Furthermore, CM Punk was fired with cause, which I think that means he's available. So I don't know what the front office is looking like at any other major player right now, but you have to think that at least there are some internal conversations happening in Titan Towers on behalf of the World Wrestling Entertainment. I wonder if in Canada, Anthem is calling Scott D'Amore and asking if he can ring in Pepsi Phil. Would he make sense working in New Japan Pro Wrestling? You know, those the schedules that some of the members of Bullet Club had years ago were kind of nice. What about MLW? Does he make sense at Major League Wrestling? And of course, why wouldn't the Chicago native be on the horn with yet another Chicago native? Why wouldn't Billy Corgan call at least to find out what the answer would be to having a Phil Brooks in the NWA? We are living in some crazy times, and I don't know what to think, but if you come back here in a minute, we're going to talk about where we might see CM Punk next. Times are tough now, guys, and it's no joke out here. That's why I'm very proud to be partnering with the Upside app. They're leveling the playing field, guys. They're giving you opportunities to earn cash back on purchases for groceries, purchases for gasoline, purchases for food. These are the things we all spend our money on all the time. I believe in Upside. I use Upside weekly. My lifetime earnings is over $408, and you too can be earning cash back on your Phillips, your groceries, or your eating out experiences just by signing up, and it's free. By using my invite code JASON75338, that's Jason 753338, you'll earn $5 cash back on your first fill up. Use the link in the video description or download the app, but make sure you use that invite code JASON753338 and make money by using the Upside app. Could you imagine at Samhain the NWA pay-per-view in October when our world's heavyweight champion EC3 stands victorious in the ring, raising the belt to the sky, and you hear the cult of personality. Could you imagine if CM Punk were to walk down the aisle and just stare at EC3 and the 10 pounds of gold? Billy Corgan could be running down to the ring, losing his mind, trying to get in between the two. You could have Murdoch's come run out, try to separate the two. Hell, you could have the entire locker room empty out and just brawl to close the pay-per-view out. I don't really care, but as a fan of the NWA, I could think of nothing more that would, titillate the fan base as much as seeing CM Punk in the NWA. Now, I know that a lot of you are thinking, well, Jake, how that's unrealistic. Jake, how that's not reasonable. But what is reasonable is that for whatever reason, CM Punk wanted to return to wrestling. And even after the sabbatical of the first brawl behind the scenes, whatever they're calling it, brawl out, uh, he was excited to return to the ring. He was excited to have a program that was focused on him with AEW. They literally started Collision just to have a show for CM Punk to be on, and now that's all gone by the wayside. Now, I don't know if wrestling has left the desire for one CM Punk. I mean, clearly, after the paydays with AEW and the money that he made in the WWE, his UFC fights, I'm pretty confident that CM Punk doesn't have to work for a living, doesn't have to go back to the squared circle, hell, doesn't have to go back to the octagon. And I'm sure there's other things out there in this world that he could do if he had to make a living. But I just can't get this idea out of my head that he's not done. And I don't think by any uncertain terms he's going to let Tony Khan dictate to him when his time is up. So that creates a conundrum. It certainly creates, at the very least, an idea of something, somewhere, somehow, something will happen. Now, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on contracts or anything else. I mean, obviously, there was some sort of contract in place between AEW and CM Punk. Now, that contract has been voided because he was terminated with cause. Which I'm sure will land them in court. I'm sure there will be some sort of lawsuit. I doubt that CM Punk will go quietly into the night with this. But my question is, could CM Punk end up somewhere else? I mean, think about it, right? If you think about the options that are available, there's never been more wrestling on your TVs now than ever before. And I'm even going back to the 40s when there was wrestling on multiple times during the week because it was cheap to produce. In the 50s, there was wrestling everywhere. But I feel like at this point in time, there's so many hours of wrestling programming on TV. AEW with its multiple programs, with Ring of Honor with multiple programs, or I guess just the one it's available on the Ring of Honor network, whatever. WWE with hours upon hours of program on USA and Fox, and then you get to Impact that's on Anthem, and New Japan, which is available in the United States via New Japan World, and MLW and the NWA that's available on YouTube. There's got to be a spot that makes sense for CM Punk. Now, my first thought is, hey, the WWE has never been about, well, I should say that differently. The WWE finds ways to forgive and forget when there's money to be made. And of course, CM Punk's return to the WWE would certainly cause a stink on the wow, I just had brain melt. It would certainly cause a stink on the independent wrestling scene. It would cause a stink in the internet wrestling community. People would be talking about this. It would definitely be a eye opener, maybe not a game changer, but certainly an eye opener. And if a company like the WWE were able to wrangle CM Punk back into the fold, and he could be thrusted into a feud with Seth Rollins or Cody or Nakamura, or hell, even Roman freaking Reigns. I mean, that's big. That's big. And his whole thing is he never even lost the AEW World Title. I mean, that was why he was going around with that Real World Championship. So, I mean, there's a lot of material to work with in the WWE, and I'm sure the paycheck that would land him would be in the same vicinity as the paycheck he received from AEW. Probably not as much, but I don't think it would be so bad. But that's if CM Punk is willing to let go of the past. It's hell. If Triple H wants to let go of the past. Who knows if that is something that could really, genuinely, actually come to fruition. I'm of the mindset that I don't think we will see a reunion between CM Punk and the WWE. I don't believe that is going to happen. I only bring it up because I love playing devil's advocate, and I like to hear people tell me that I'm wrong, especially when sometimes I'm right. But where else could CM Punk land? Now, my first instinct is to say there is a wrestling promotion in the past that has bet on superstar of yesteryear, bet on superstars who were essentially forced out of their homes and made that promotion a much, much bigger deal. And I'm talking about TNA Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, that really took the next step when guys like Christian Cage and Kurt Angle were welcomed into the company. The promotion hit another lever, if you will. And the Impact Wrestling of 2007, 2008 was really great wrestling. Obviously, things didn't work out the way that many of the Impact fans would have hoped, but things have changed since then because it's not Stacy Carter running the company anymore. It's Anthem, and Anthem is not a fly by night company. Anthem's kind of a big deal. I don't think people understand what Anthem is, because yes, Anthem is the parent company of Impact Wrestling, but this is a mass media, sports and entertainment, multinational media company. Yes, they're based in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, but its assets include many combat sports and sports entertainment properties. Invicta Fighting Championship and Impact Wrestling are only two of its holdings. It has a global film distribution company, Gravitas Ventures. It has the Fight Network and Game TV and Access TV. It's a big deal. And it's not just $1 million company, it's a multi-million-dollar company. It might even be a $1 billion company. And I don't think that people quite understand what that means. And essentially, what it means is this: that if they decide that they want to go all in, no pun intended, on CM Punk, they are one of the few companies that can actually do it. Could you imagine? Could you imagine turning on Impact and seeing CM Punk show up? Right? I mean, could you think about it for a second? If you turn on you turn on Impact Wrestling and you see Alex Shelley standing in the ring with the Impact World Championship, and out walks CM Punk, would you not lose your mind? What if he shows up to challenge Alex Shelley? What if he challenges Saban what if he steps in the ring with Cody Deaner? What happens if he wants to fight Frankie Kazarian? I mean, there's so many good guys on this roster. I think there'd be some excellent matchups. Uh, what happens when Josh Alexander's healthy? What happens if Jonathan Gresham and CM Punk had a match? There's a lot of very interesting dynamics at play here. And although I don't just think that anyone is going to hand anyone anything, if you're a company like Impact Wrestling and you've been number 2 and now number 3 in the United States for quite a while, and you just can't seem to get that next step, you can't make that next step that gets people to invest in the product and care and watch and invest, would that not be CM Punk? Would CM Punk not pop an audience for them? And if you're looking to get onto a major broadcasting network that currently doesn't feature pro wrestling but is looking to add that while Hollywood is on strike, would that not make sense? And if you're a free agent, doesn't that mean that you could step into any ring at any time, anywhere? I'm not saying it's a done deal. I'm not saying 100% that you're going to see CM Punk end up in Impact Wrestling, but they still maintain a relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling. And if CM Punk wanted to still do some things with New Japan Pro Wrestling, which I don't know if that's true or not, but what if he does? There's still an option there. There's still opportunity for that. So, I guess what I'm saying is it's a possibility. At the very least, it could happen. Is it going to? Who knows? But it's certainly a possibility. But then, the one that keeps sticking out to me, because I briefly mentioned the NWA, but let's realistically think about that for a minute. We know that the NWA taping schedule, this entire season of the NWA has already been filmed. They're heading to their pay-per-view in October. October is quite a long time when we're sitting here on September 2nd. October is quite a while away. I guess it's not that long, but it's, just about 2 months away before you be able to do anything with CM Punk. And I'm not saying that the iron would not be hot in 2 months, but I'm saying that there might be other avenues for Punk to go before. So I just don't think the NWA is the right option. And furthermore, like if you look at the roster, aside from EC3 or Tom Latimer, who do you put CM Punk into a feud with? Who makes sense? Does CM Punk want to come in and work a program with Zion? Does he want to come work a program with Rush Freeman? I mean, I love Jordan Clearwater, but I don't see that being that interesting for a guy like CM Punk. I mean, if he wanted to, sure, absolutely. Hell, put him in a feud with Kerry Morton. That might be a lot of fun. But at the end of the day, I think CM Punk, it doesn't line up. It's not in the cards. So that leads me to my final thought, and that's MLW. And before you say, Jay, MLW doesn't have the money, you're right. They don't. They don't. Major League Wrestling does not have the money. They don't have the major network deal. They don't have the same, size audience that an Impact even has. So why would this make sense? But I look at their roster, and it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. First of all, Harry Smith in the Opera Cup, CM Punk working with Harry Smith, I think would be fantastic wrestling. I think that would be phenomenal wrestling to watch. But let's forget him, or you could think of somebody like Sam Adonis, who again is still kind of a part timer with MLW, but has been doing amazing heel work in AAA. He might be a perfect opponent for CM Punk. But let's move on beyond that. I mean, there's Alexander Hammerstone, who, yes, he lost the title. I don't know what his current status is with MLW, but certainly a program with CM Punk could help elevate him. Or, somebody like Jacob Fatu, obviously just a phenomenal talent. There's so much opportunity there. But, some of these other guys that I'm looking at, Tony Deppen, really, Mance Warner, that would be something. Mance Warner and CM Punk. Hell, Matt Cardona and CM Punk. You want to talk about a license to print money? Those promos would be off the hook. And ultimately, even if it's just for a part-time thing, if it's a short run, could you imagine the heat that Alex Kane could get, the rub that he would get from a series of matches with CM Punk for the MLW title? I mean, I'm looking at this roster and I'm thinking there's so much opportunity here. There's so much good stuff. And I just can't believe that that's not something that would at the very least appeal to CM Punk. And if Punk is interested, MLW just announced their working agreement with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Kushida is going to be on their next pay-per-view. To make things even better, tomorrow night, the 2300 Philadelphia Arena, in Philly, the 2300 Arena, tomorrow night, September 3rd, MLW's having an event the same night as the All Out pay-per-view, the pay-per-view that should have been CM Punk on that pay-per-view. They're going to have a match. They're going to have matches. A match. You're going to have lots of matches. The world would absolutely lose their collective shit if CM Punk walked out in that Philadelphia crowd and maybe challenged the winner of Willie Mack and Alex Kane. Look, guys, I know this is pie in the sky thinking, but, CM Punk was just released, just fired from AEW this afternoon, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about what kind of matchups MLW could provide. I know this is an NWA themed podcast mostly, but wow. What do you think? Am I onto something? Leave a comment. Let me know. Thank you for tuning in to the Alliance Blog Podcast, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, the premier source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. Would you consider subscribing so you never miss a new episode? You can follow us on all social media at the Alliance Blog, and we stream live on Twitch, Kick, and YouTube every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 5 p.m., 6 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern at the Alliance Blog. Until then, we are the Alliance.